Ahoy hoy and good day everyone. Welcome to Introduction to Philosophy. This is a fully online asynchronous course that never will actually be meeting. So I thought I'd take this chance to introduce you to my virtual self here in my virtual classroom. To get started, let's take a look at the syllabus. Here's our syllabus. You're going to want to take some time to read through this document. There's critical info in here that you will need to know for the assignments and for how to do this course and how to do it well. Policies and procedures that will pertain to you, things you'll be expected to know. So do make sure you read this document. And while you're at it, make a note of this little quote right here because you're going to need that later. As I mentioned, this is a fully asynchronous online course. We do not meet in a classroom or on Zoom or any other way at any specific time. There are no class meetings. There is a weekly schedule, things you are to keep up with every week. I will be in your inboxes with messages, with announcements at least once a week, trying to remind you to what's going on, but it will be your responsibility to keep up with the work and to make sure that you are doing the work and turning it in on time. Please be aware of that going into the beginning of the semester. Students who don't do well in this course often don't because they don't, from the beginning, commit themselves to keeping up with that weekly schedule. If you can do that, it's going to be all right. Okay, here on page 2, a few things to note. First off, here's my email address. This is the quickest, most efficient way to get a hold of me. I do have a phone in my office. I'm sometimes in that office. So, yes, you could call, but the fastest, most reliable method is to shoot me an email. Let's talk about textbooks real quickly. There is no assigned textbook for this course. I thought I would do you all a favor, save you some money, and not require you to go buy a book. Instead, I will provide to you all of the readings for free as PDFs on Blackboard. The only thing I ask in return is that you don't treat the readings as worthless because you got them for free. I'll promise to give you the readings if you promise to do the readings. How about that? So let's make that the deal for the semester. Let's talk deadlines now. Here are the due dates for major things. So we'll have quizzes every week. They will be due on Sundays, typically, unless there's something weird about the week. We'll have weekly discussions that have to be completed by Sundays. We'll talk more about that later. There will also be weekly notes, typically due on Sundays. One big exception to this, for example, is the last week of term, where the week ends on a Wednesday that week, because why not? Anyway, but usually they'll be due on Sundays. We'll have 2 exams, each of which has 3 phases with separate dates. You'll see those here. And we'll have 2 dialogue projects. So here are all the dates. Keep these handy. Print it out, put it somewhere, get it tattooed somewhere on your body. I don't know, whatever works for you so that you keep these dates in mind. If you're going to succeed in this class, you will need to keep up with the deadlines and get the material turned in on time. And you can do it. I believe in you. All right, let's talk weekly schedule. Here in the syllabus, it is a week-by-week breakdown of what you will do. The same material will be on Blackboard, and I'll show that to you in a moment. So this first week, for example, we have one short reading to kind of get us started, get our feet wet a little bit, called by Poyman and Vaughan, called Excursus, A Little Bit of Logic. You'll note even that I'm not this week requiring you to read the whole thing. I'm just asking you to read at minimum pages 33 through 38, 38 through 47. The second part of it is merely recommended. There's some stuff in there that could help you on some other things, but not required. In addition to what's listed here, there's a sort of weekly pattern that you just want to kind of ingrain in your head now. At the start of the week, there's a discussion board. You'll have to do 3 posts on that. We'll talk about those in a bit, but it's good to go ahead and start the week with that first one. Then there's a reading, and do the readings after the discussion board, but before anything else. Do the reading. These readings, I promise you now, will be confusing, and that's okay. You sometimes will have read these things and get to the end of it and think, it would have felt more comfortable to bang my head against the wall for an hour. Yeah, that's about accurate. You are being asked to read philosophy, something you've not been asked to read before, probably. You are being presented with some of the deepest thoughts by some of the biggest thinkers in human history. These are not simple ideas, simple concepts, simple readings that can be grasped quickly, that can be expressed easily. So, give yourself some time for the reading and be okay with being confused. After the readings, there's a video or videos going over the readings. This is where I take your confusion and I help it make sense. But note, you do have to do the work of getting confused first. Otherwise, the videos won't do as much for you. I don't go over everything in the videos. They're just there to help with the confusion. After the video or videos, there's a quick quiz, or as you see sometimes, 2 quick quizzes, depending on how big the reading is or how much material there is. Do those afterwards. We'll talk more about the quizzes as well here in a bit. After all of that, then come back and finish the discussion board. As I said, there's 3 posts. You got to do 1 at the beginning and 2 more as you go. So finish them up. Then also by the end of the week, there's an assignment to upload your notes. I'll show you that, talk more about it here in a bit. But key thing is, as you do the readings, as you watch the videos, take notes. Just like if you were sitting in a class, take notes. That is the only way you're going to do well in here. And it will help, I promise. So you'll upload the notes to show that you have participated, that you are attending, and you're giving good effort to understanding this material. So that's the weekly schedule. Again, keep this in mind, keep this handy, and it will also be duplicated on Blackboard, where all of this reading and video and content will live. But you've already figured out that. You've probably watching this video on Blackboard already. All right, let's keep this train moving and talk about grades. As you can see here, there are different kinds of assignments. We have exams, each one of which is worth 24% of your overall grade. There are 2 dialogue projects that collectively equal basically a 3rd exam. There are quick quizzes, there are notes, and then there are your weekly discussion. This is the formula that you can use to calculate your grade, to figure out how you're doing in the course. Do not simply rely upon the average that Blackboard will post. It is not a weighted average. Blackboard will count 1 quiz as the same weight as 1 exam, which you can see here is not the case. Use this formula to get a sense of how you're doing. Okay, let's briefly talk exams. We'll talk more about these as we get closer to the first exam. I'll have a whole video up about how to write them. In short, though, these are essay exams with open note, open reading, open video, open everything, where your job is to explain the material that we've covered in your own words, to demonstrate that you understand it well enough to explain it to, say, another student on campus. There will be 3 phases, as I mentioned. First, I will give you the questions. Then you will select 3 to 5 quotes from the assigned readings for those questions. These are quotes that you say, hey, this quote looks like it's going to be something that's very, very helpful to me when I write the essay. I will use this quote to help explain the material, to help answer the question. So first, just give me the quotes that you're going to use. I will grade that, give you feedback. If it's great, use all those quotes. If it didn't work out perfectly, you can swap out those quotes and use different ones. Phase 2 then is when you actually then go write the essays. You write the multiple paragraphs answering the questions to explain the material and show you understand it. I will then take that. I will grade it insofar as I give you detailed feedback and give you a basic mark of how you're doing. You will then, for phase 3, revise it and then give improved version of it based upon the feedback. The grade for the exam is based upon the performance across all 3 phases. That means if you screw around and give me crap in phase 1 and crap on phase 2, but then produce something brilliant and amazing in phase 3, that is worth less. That gets a lower grade than if you had done good work but not perfect on phase 1, good work but not perfect on phase 2, and then produced the exact same polished jewel in phase 3. That would be better. It's not just the end result. It's the process. It's the hard work you put into it as well. But we'll talk more about that as we go. Now let's talk dialogue projects. There will be 2 of these throughout the semester. It is a group project insofar as you have to talk to 1 other student, or 2 if you become a group of 3 in case we have an odd number. You'll have to talk to them first for 15 minutes and then 30 minutes for the second one. So yes, it's a group project. That said, your grade is yours. There's no group material that is produced and given a common grade among everyone. You talk with them. You record it. You write a report on that conversation. They write a report on that conversation. Each of you gets a separate grade. Your conversation, in other words, becomes data to write the main thing, the actual report on the dialogue. Okay, let's talk quick quizzes. As I mentioned, these are things that you will take after having done the reading and after having watched the videos. They're quick checks to see, hey, how you doing? Did you understand this material? Did it make sense? Or was there something that threw you, something that didn't click yet, something that you misunderstood? They're a few multiple choice questions. You can take these multiple times. Only the highest grade will count. The point isn't to punish you for misunderstanding it. The point is to help you understand what you didn't understand so you can then go back into the reading, go back into the video or into your notes, figure it out, and then take it again and get the higher grade. Improve, figure out what didn't make sense. That way, when you get to the exam later on, you've already sorted out the problem. You've already resolved the confusion, and you're ready to kick that exam's butt. Lastly, weekly notes and weekly discussions. As I said, I want you to take notes, and then at the end of the week, upload them. If you take handwritten notes, take a picture, upload it. If you type out some notes, send that file. Whatever works, whatever format you use, just get some digital copy of that and put it up there. The grade will primarily be based on effort. I'm not going to check these for correctness, but that you actually did it. That's the point. It's to help keep you engaged. Lastly, weekly discussions. At the beginning of every week, there will be a discussion board. I will post an opening question or set of questions. Your first post that you have to do, and it's due by Wednesday at the latest, is you respond to the questions that I posted at the beginning of the week. Then in a second post, and this one is due by Friday, ask a question of another student. Don't say, hey, yeah, I agree, that's cool too, or nice point. No, ask them a question. You're not trying to prove them wrong. You're not trying to be a jerk. Ask them a question. Maybe you want to know more. Maybe you don't understand what they mean. Maybe you want to say, hey, did you think about this? Or what would you say to this idea or this hypothetical or this possibility? Pose a question. The third post, due by Sunday at the latest, is to answer a question if someone asks you. If someone asks you a question, the polite thing to do in conversation is to answer them. So that's what the third post should do. Now, just in case no one asked you a question that week, that could happen. That's fine. If that happens, then go jump into somebody else's thread where someone responded and they were asked a question and they responded. We'll just jump in as well. Ask another question. Give some sort of follow-up. And it has to be substantive. Again, don't just say, yeah, cool point, bro. That's not going to get you credit for that third post. Do some sort of substantive engagement with some other exchange that's going on. Again, that's only if no one has asked you a question. Now, one last point on discussion boards. There's also a discussion board up there where you can ask questions of me, Professor Robinson, your instructor, about the readings, about the videos. Why? Because this content, as I said, is hard, is confusing. You will have questions. And the only dumb question is the one that you have, but you don't ask. Part of the point of learning philosophy, part of the point of studying this stuff is to teach you how to ask good questions. In part because that is a skill that is useful to you no matter what you go do professionally or personally. That skill will help you. So, if you have a question, ask it. In fact, that can even earn you some extra credit. Lastly, let's talk about plagiarism and cheating and AI use. Exams will be checked for plagiarism. They will be checked for AI-generated text. Both of them are strictly prohibited. If you look at some material I didn't give you, and you in any way use that material to write your exam, and you don't cite it, that's plagiarism. Plagiarism results in an automatic 0 for the assignment, and doing it a second time results in an automatic F for the semester. Both will also result in a report to the dean. Using AI to write your exam is also strictly prohibited. Using AI has some genuine uses, but the point of this class isn't to see, hey, can you get ChatGPT to explain this material to me? I don't care if you can do that. I care if you can understand this material. The point is to teach you how to stretch your mind, how to ask new questions, how to see things differently, how to have bigger thoughts than you have had before. So you got to write it yourself. I say that now in order to avoid pain and suffering down the road. I want all of you to succeed. Now at this point, I like to make two promises to my students. One, as you can tell, I hope, from the syllabus, you will have to work in this course. This is not a course that you could screw around in for multiple weeks in a row and it works out fine for you. That ain't gonna cut it. You gotta keep up with the work and you gotta keep up with it every week. That's my first promise. But my second promise to you is, if you do the work, you'll do just fine. The only two kinds of students that fail this course are those who cheat and those who don't do the work. If you do the work, you'll be fine. I promise. I'll get you there. I will bend over backwards to help you in whatever way I can. My job is to help you succeed. If I can be of any help to you in that, please do let me know. If something has come up in your life that has thrown you for a loop, that has meant that you can't keep up with the work, let me know then. Don't wait till the end of the semester. It's too late then. A lot harder to help you at that point. Let me know when it happens so we can make other arrangements. We can fix things. We can move deadlines. We can come up with alternatives. If you need help because you're drowning in the material, if you need help because life has gotten crazy, let me know. Send me an email. Come see me if you're on campus. Let me help you. Please. I am here to help you succeed. Now, with all that out of the way, just a little bit left, let's briefly look in here at our course on Blackboard. Here's the video that you're currently watching. Here's the syllabus that we've already gone over, but you're going to want to look over yourself. Don't forget, you need to go read that. Here's a place where you can ask questions about the course. Can't find something? An assignment confusing? Have something confusing about a due date? Whatever, ask it here. I'll see it. I'll respond because somebody else probably has the same question and they can check here too to see if I've already answered it. Do you have questions again about the material, about what's in the videos or in the readings? Ask it here. And again, as I mentioned, extra credit opportunity. Go see the syllabus. It'll talk to you about it. Here's where you will see the week by week. Here we have week 1. Let's take a look. Here's our discussion board. It tells you here are the questions you need to respond to. Here's the reading. Here's the video. Here's where you upload the notes. Now, a couple of things real quickly on this week. Yeah, as I said, normally there are 3 posts due each week, and yes, there are 3 posts due this week, but not on the same Wednesday, Friday, Sunday schedule since, well, classes start on Wednesday, so they'll all be due on Sunday this week. Normally, again, keep that Wednesday, Friday, Saturday thing in mind. You don't have to stick to that, by the way. You can just get all of it done nice and early, especially if you post and then you ask someone else a question and then someone asks you a question. You can get that third post in real quickly. Wednesday, Friday, Saturday are just the deadlines, not the earliest you can do them. That's the latest you can do those. For the notes this week, this is a just try your best. Give it a shot. I'll give some feedback. I'll give an example later on to show maybe how this should look, how it can work. But give it your best shot. Again, so long as you get something that's even there, you'll get full credit this week. Let's take a look at week 2. We have a reading and videos in 2 parts going over it and a quiz. Another reading, 2 videos going over it and a quiz. There's also a discussion board that will go live next Monday and an assignment for the notes that will again go live Monday of that week. So the rest of the weeks will be appearing as we proceed onward, but this gives you the general flow of how they're going to work. Just a few other things to point out here. Here's exams and dialogue projects. Nothing in there yet. That's coming later as we get closer to those. Third-party policies and procedures, that's boilerplate stuff about AI checking and turn it in and stuff like that. Anyway, this is where all the material is. If you have questions, again, post them here. Let me know, how can I help? Okay, now that we've got all the fun stuff out of the way, by the way, yes, that was the fun stuff. That's the most exciting thing we're going to talk about all semesters, the syllabus and Blackboard. Okay, that was a lie. I am probably going to lie to you multiple times this semester. But hey, it's always at least in the name of comedy. Yeah, let's call it comedy. Let's end today by talking briefly about what this course is. What's it about? What are we doing here? Philosophy as a discipline, as a field of study is old. It's very old. In the West, it goes back to ancient Greece and at least the 400s, 500s BC. And it has gone on ever since, pretty much without stopping. And that's only what goes in that one tradition from ancient Greece. There's also material, say, from China. And almost every other region of the world, people have always thought philosophically, and especially about certain questions. Now, this course is so big that we can't cover it all. We can't even introduce you to a mere smattering of it, but that's okay. We don't need to. Now, that said, in this course, though, we will pick up 4 topics that have long been covered by philosophers. We're going to talk about epistemology, and then ethics, and then the nature of free will, and lastly, existential issues. So that's kind of gives you a flavor of the topics, the philosophical questions and discussions that we're going to be getting into. But as I said, we don't really need to give a proper introduction in this Introduction to Philosophy course. Why? Well, none of you are philosophy majors. This course isn't setting you up, giving you the groundwork to go pursue a course of study in philosophy. So why are you here? Why did the university put you in this course? Say you should be taking this if none of you are going to become philosophers? Well, that's a good question. And in part, that's exactly it. There's something about the study of philosophy that by its nature teaches you to ask new questions. That's among one of the skills that philosophy imparts, which is useful no matter what you go study, no matter what your profession is, no matter what you go do with your life. That ability to ask questions and some of the other skills that we'll be working on this semester are useful everywhere. The other reason, or another reason, is that philosophy is everywhere. It's under everything. I don't care what course you take. I don't care what major you study. I don't care what job you go do. there are philosophical assumptions and viewpoints that are embedded underneath every other field and major and course that you will ever engage with. Now, that may sound like a far-fetched claim, and it's something that we'll get into as we go through the semester. But as a brief demonstration, let me show you this. You perhaps have heard of this new website called Wikipedia. I think that's what the kids are calling it these days. An online repository of immense information. So here I'm at the homepage of Wikipedia for today, and let's just take this random link about Queen Margaret II. Now, we're going to play a game. We're going to follow the first link on any page we go to. Now, that's skipping anything in parentheses here, like pronunciation. So, Danish royal family. Okay, Danish dynastic. Republics. Latin. Latin's a good language. You should learn it if you get a chance. Classical language. Classical studies. Classical antiquity. Oh, history. Skipping the parentheses. Past. Events. Physics. Natural science. Branches of science. Sciences. Systematic. Empirical. Proposition. Philosophy of language. Analytic philosophy. That's the kind of philosophy I do. And then we're here at philosophy, the love of wisdom. No, we started at something completely random and ended up in philosophy, which just loops back on itself. Now, that wasn't random happenstance. That wasn't dumb luck or pre-planned either on my part. That was just a random page. Someone has demonstrated that 95% of English language Wikipedia pages bottom out in philosophy. And the 5% that don't generally don't because they have some broken link somewhere along the line. Now, for instance, this user Xepher created a little web tool. You can go play with it. Here's just a screenshot of what it produces. You can put in a bunch of random pages. So this has alcohol and C++, Superman, Goldman Sachs, multinational corporations, Microsoft, Harvard Square, Jane Addams, Wikipedia Foundation, Charles V, Minecraft, Kimono, Bookkeeper, Market, Mainsail, Xylophone, Asterisk, Omicron, Coffee, and I can't read that. But a bunch of different stuff. And you can see the paths that they all take, and what do you know? All of them get to philosophy. Now that's interesting. Underneath all of these fields of thought, all of these topics, you always end up thinking about something philosophical. Let's look at science, for example, the route we even took. Science talks about knowledge. Okay, it's not quite the route we took this time, but stuff gets updated. That's okay, it still worked. Science comes from the Latin word scio, meaning to know. Science is called that because it's supposed to produce knowledge. But what is knowledge? How do we get it? When do we actually know something instead of merely think we do? These aren't questions that science itself can answer. Yet it relies upon answers to those questions to do science. Those are philosophical questions. In fact, they're the very questions that we'll be starting this semester with when we start our first section on epistemology, which is the study of knowledge. With that, we'll call it a day. Take a look at that first reading. It talks about logic. Why? Because logic, perhaps more than anything else, is a philosopher's greatest tool and the first thing that help you learn, because it's useful in philosophy and anywhere else you go. So, have a great day, everybody. We'll talk to you again soon.